All right, Shalom. We're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honor to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honor to all you brothers that are laboring in the faith, enduring afflictions to bring out this word in sincerity and in truth. So I got the brother here with me.
I'm Brother Kanak.
Yeah, so I'm going to go into a lesson based off of this article. It's going through on RT, which RT provides a lot of ammo to come against you so-called white people. You watch RT, you'll become anti-American very quick, okay? Because they're set up to really expose you so-called white people over here in America, other Edomites, other so-called white people. So the name of the lesson is Esau is falling and will never rise again. And the brothers are going to read an article, and it breaks down the pride of Esau in particular over here in America. All right, go ahead, brother.
This is it's an article on RT. It says new U.S. defense strategy, return to global dominance, slimmering down Pentagon. All right, so it says, after nearly 2 decades of focus on terrorism, the U.S. military establishment is seeking to pivot back to greater power competition with Russia and China, preserving global dominance while rebuilding the eroding force. Interstate strategic competition, not terrorism, is now the primary concern in U.S. national security.
Read that one more time.
It says interstate strategic competition, not terrorism, is now the primary concern in U.S. national security.
Which means what? There's infighting. Okay.
It says
let me read this real quick. Yeah, interstate strategic, meaning what?
Yeah, competition.
There's competition amongst Esau. This is Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. And that's yeah. Go ahead. No, break it down.
No, I was saying you like to say the United States, which means conjoined together, but really it's divided. This place is divided, you got inner fighting within different states that are trying to exceed from the union, like California. They want to break apart. Texas always wanted to break apart.
Yeah.
So you got all these little states, which are really countries, small countries. All right, you got the state government, federal government, and they're all inner fighting because now they're seeing that there's a power shift. And somebody has to grab that power. So they're seeing that there's a power shift, and power is about to be changed over. So people want to come up. They want to come up and not lose.
Yeah. Even within the CIA, you got the CIA. You got factions within the CIA. You have the FBI. You think, okay, they're all government. Oh, they get along. No, that's not the case. I show you that in that show, Narcos. Okay, about how there wasn't a lot of cooperation, and then somebody from the State Department would have to go there and try to have everybody cooperate. Why? Because they want to use that as a way to advance their career, the people in there, or they want to take credit. And it's always been like that. Even within the military, Army, you talking shit about the Navy, the Air Force,
Yep.
So Esau is divided on all levels.
It says the new national defense strategy published by the Pentagon Friday, the first such document since 2008. The strategy paints a grim picture of the world in which the U.S. military is emerging from a period of strategic atrophy, with its competitive military advantage over the other actors eroding.
Eroding meaning what? It's dissipating, like they always say. America's in a precipitous decline. Read that again. Eroding.
It says emerging from a period of strategic atrophy, with its competitive military advantage over other actors eroding.
Eroding. Why? Because now all these other nations they have nuclear capability. That's how it's eroding. You can't just go around and punk all these nations no more. Why? Because they have the great equalizer. Matter of fact, brother, can you go ahead and can you grab me the book of Joel?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let the weak say I'm strong.
Yeah, go ahead and give me that. Because that's why the power is eroding. The military power is eroding. And then get Isaiah, the 14th chapter. And this is all biblical prophecy. 2018 is named what? The year of prophecy. And you can clearly tell that America's going down. And America knows they're going down. That's what they're saying. That's what the article's about. But now what are they trying to do? They're trying to bounce back. Okay, we have to reestablish our dominance. As the name of the lesson states, Esau is fallen and will never rise again. So you're done. You know you're done. You know the power is eroding. You're saying it. Everybody knows. But then you still got scoffers who come against us saying that this white man's going down. Well, look, the white man know he's going down. It's the so-called white man. Bring it out, brother.
It says, this is Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war.
And who are the Gentiles spoken of in this particular passage? It's talking about these other nations. Prepare for war, which is why the America's dominance is eroding, because now all these other nations, they're gearing up for war. They're not just like, okay, well, look, we gotta do what America says because they're gonna drop bombs on us. No, they're preparing for war, and who are they gonna go to war with ultimately? America. Why? Because America is the enemy, and he's stating pretty much that we need to establish the dominance again, which means what? They're gonna go and they're gonna try to punk these nations, but it's not gonna work, man. Why? Because they're preparing for war. Go ahead.
It says, wake up the mighty men.
Uh-huh.
Let all the men of war draw near.
Yeah, it let all the men of war draw near, and that's why every other day, another country is having a military defense drill, or they're cooperating with this nation. This nation's cooperating with this nation, and it's usually upon the lines of a Russia bloc and the United States bloc, and there's more and more nations going to the Russia-China bloc. Why? Because now those nations are reemerging as global economic powers aside from military powers. Superpowers. Yeah, because for a while, it was just America as a superpower. After the demise of the Soviet Union, it was just America, and that's it. But now Russia and China, they're linking up, especially in regards to the oil pipelines.
Yep.
See, and with economic cooperation comes what? Military cooperation.
Yep.
Just look at what's happening over there in Atlanta Ham. Which
Chinese are there.
Yeah, the Chinese are there heavy, and they just established a military outpost in East Africa, I believe in Djibouti, which is close to Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, the so-called Horn of Africa. But what predated that? The economic cooperation. Same thing with Syria. That's why Russia is there so much, because aside from the economic cooperation, they have what? They got a base there. They have a naval base there. Same thing with Iran.
Yeah, these superpowers are now building up these smaller nations, and then that breeds out allied nations that were once allied with America by force. But the way that the other nations they're being allied, they're not taking them over like America took them over. They're helping them out economically. So now you start to see emerging economies. Southeast Asia is one of those emerging economies. You got the tech industry there.
Oh yeah, a lot of people.
That's like a new tech
in Thailand.
You know, so now these other nations, foreign nations, are now putting money, because the Chinese are heavy over there in Thailand.
Yep.
You know, they're putting their money into these emerging economies and building these economies up, and that's why China has now the biggest second class citizens.
Yeah.
What they call it?
Second class citizens. Yeah, because pretty much they've just enslaved the majority of their nations so they can produce at a level that's comparable to the U.S.
Right, exactly. That's
why the GDP, the economists that was talking about the GDP, that doesn't actually have any bearing on how people live in that society. That just means that people are more enslaved, so they're producing more. Gross domestic product. Okay, that's what it means. That means that the people of that land, they're pumping out products, or they're pumping out services. Okay, they're producing at a high rate. And that's why America's been so great. Why? Because everybody's in slavery here, man. You can't just leave, bro. You're demonized if you just want. I just want to live off. Like, you bum, you hippie, get the fuck out of here. They're demonized, man. You got other countries, people can just live, and they're just people. You know, they might work a little bit. They work the farm. They're not going to be demonized like that. But here in America, that's why. What do they say when they see us out on the highways and hedges? Get a job. That's the first thing people think of. Well, a job is slavery, man. When you're an employee, the Black's Law dictionary definition of employee is servant, man. And who are you servant to? The international bankers, man. And then you got the different managers that you work for. Okay. Yep. But see these nations, they don't want to be like that. They don't want to be like Americans, because they see how stressed out you people are. Yeah. And so they hear Esau knocking on their door, creeping in through the window, so to speak, trying to get into their nation. They hear stories about their grandparents, about how the French invaded them, or the Germans invaded them, or the U.S. helped. They're fighting tooth and nail to make sure that doesn't happen, which is why the mighty men are being waken up. Okay? Go ahead, brother.
Yep. It says, verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords.
Yeah, beat your plowshares into swords, which plowshares what? To cultivate something for agriculture. And that's what these nations are doing, okay? Instead of their money going into domestic policies, infrastructure, farming, they're putting that into the military. And you can clearly see why, because America's trying to go back to being the big bad bully. And they're publicly stating it, man.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't these nations want to ante up, okay? Why wouldn't the North Koreans be marching, looking bugged out? And that's all they do, man. They're all about that. The North Koreans, they understand the concept of nationality. Okay,
nationalists.
They're nationalists. Okay, see, that's not present here in America. Why? Because America isn't homogenous. You have a lot of different nations within this so-called nation, which is really a corporation. Which is another reason why America's gonna fall. Because if somebody go over, say an invading force comes over to America, it'll be easy to take it, man. Okay, you know what they'll do? They gonna go to the hood, they'll give niggas some money. They could go to the barrio, they'll go to the res.
Yep. Because
there's a lot of disenchanted people here in America, man.
And if I can say this, furthermore, when you come over here, nationalists, it's the white nationalists, when they're for their people, that's predicated on racism and not coming together as a people. Mm-hmm. So America doesn't put out that spirit of all nations coming together,
right?
Because the so-called white man is not going to allow you to come and join hand in hand together with him unless you're a slave unto him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if he's not, and see, so now what's happening, just like happened in the Roman Empire. They're starting to lose their grip on these other nations that they have under tribute.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically modern day tribute under economic terms. Basically, they can put sanctions on you. You know, they'll put up the military outpost there in your country, the Philippines, Japan, South Korea. So now that they're starting to lose grip, right? Now they have to what? They have to do damage control.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to start going into these other nations and try to get back that force that they once had.
Yeah, and you know what? There's no new thing under the sun. I got to get this precept real quick. Going into the book of Maccabees with Antiochus, because what happened when he was catching all that hell, you know, coming against us? He tried to go into the so-called Middle East. He tried to go and invade Persia. All right, this is and that's what Esau is doing right now, because he mainly the jewel of the so-called white man is going into Persia.
That's it. That's
what he's been plotting the whole time we've been in the truth, man. Remember, oh wait, Esau was still trying to Ham under the Ham. When I say Ham, I'm speaking of Obama. Okay, the lollipop head Hamite, Barack Hussein Obama, under the orders of the so-called white man, he was trying to stir up tension with Iran, and Trump was just picked back up, man. This is First Maccabees 6:1. About that time, King Antiochus. Why? Because our forefather Judas Maccabees and his brethren and those that were following was giving it to you so-called white people, man. So you had to ante up. You had to go and get some more resources. Same thing happened in Haiti. No coincidence. That French Republic was in an uproar around the time when the so-called Haitians started rising up. That pretty much was the fall of Napoleon. Right? Why? Because of our ancestors or our brothers over there in the land of Haiti. Okay, the Levites, they was giving it to them French, and that caused the whole French Empire to pretty much fall. All right, about that time, King Antiochus, traveling through the high countries, heard say that Elymas in the country of Persia was a city greatly renowned for riches, silver and gold, and that there was in it a very rich temple, wherein were coverings of gold and breastplates and shields, which Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian king, who reigned first among the Grecians, had left there. Wherefore he came and sought to take the city and to spoil it, but he was not able, because they of the city, having had warning thereof, rose up against him in battle. So he fled and departed thence with great heaviness and returned to Babylon. And that, you see, and that's why these other nations, they're preparing for war, because they see just like the Persians back then, they understood that Esau was coming for them. The Persians now and these other nations, they understand that Esau is coming. It says what? Wherefore he came and sought to take the city and to spoil it, but he was not able, because they of the city, having had warning thereof, rose up against him in battle. So read that again in Joel.
This is Joel. You want from 9?
Yeah.
Yep. Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war.
Prepare, and that's what they're doing. They're preparing war. All right, go ahead.
Wake up the mighty men.
Go ahead.
Let all the men of war draw near.
Yep, and let all the men of war draw near because they see that America is coming after them, man.
Yep, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords.
Yep.
And your pruning hooks into spears.
Uh-huh.
Let the weak say I am strong.
Yeah, let the weak say I'm strong. The traditionally weak nations, what Esau calls third world countries, second world countries. Like this is supposedly a first world country, but you go to San Francisco, man, you're gonna see all types of people shooting up in the alley, taking shits on the streets. But that ain't a shithole. That's not a shithole, but all these other countries are shitholes, man. Okay, so these countries who are tired of being just lambasted and disrespected, they're saying, well, I'm strong now too. Look, I got a military, I got a nuclear missile. Yeah, you might destroy us, but we'll be able to destroy you as well, man. And it's a term, I'm sorry, brother, there's a term called mutually assured destruction, man.
Yeah.
And that's what the world is operating under right now. Oh man, I can't really fuck with him. All right, he'll do something. And it's like that in the streets, man. That's how it was growing up. It's mutually assured destruction. All right, you might have, a certain clique. They might have a funk with another clique, but because they know it's going to be all out bloodshed, all right, you might live in a hood, but your family, you got your cousins, they live in the other hood. You ain't about to go to war, man. This is mutually assured destruction. That happens all the time, man, and it happens from street level all the way up to geopolitics, man. I'm sorry, brother.
Oh no, yeah. Oh, can I read this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to do a video on this. And I still might do it. I want to go into just real quick. It's a paragraph.
Yeah.
What you were just saying. This is on Wikipedia. It says the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. All right, what they call the NPT. All right, it says the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons is commonly known as Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, is an international treaty whose objective is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapon technology to promote cooperation in the peaceful use of nuclear energy and to further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament.
Yeah, but that's not really what it is. It's really to keep these lesser nations from having to equalize.
Exactly.
That's really why it is, because if you have a superior military, you can impose your will on a lesser country, man. So that's why they don't want it to spread. Because if these people had any sense, they would be like, all right, well, you don't want North Korea to get nuclear missiles, but wait a second, America's the only ones to drop bombs on people like that. Atomic warfare, the only nation to do that was the U.S. on Hiroshima and Nagasaki over here in Japan. So somebody should say, well, wait a second, shouldn't these people not have nuclear weapons? They're the ones who actually use it. But see, you idiots, man, you don't think like that, man. And the ones that do think like that, guess what? Regardless of your nation, you an American, man, and you know how the system works. You're for it, man. You're for it. That's why you're gonna get the same destruction as this so-called white man, because you got niggas high up in the military. They know what time it is. They know that America's oppressing all these other nations. You got Elon, who's in the business. All right, they traveling around the world all the damn time. They know exactly how the society works. They know that this society here in America is even oppressing their home country, man. But because they've drunk of that Babylonian juice, all right, the wine and the wrath of fornication, they're with it, man. Okay, but that's why that non-proliferation treaty is in existence, man, to prevent what's happening right now.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going into with the article. The article is pretty much Esau going around. He has to grab his power back because now these other nations are starting to have nuclear power that can come against him.
Yep.
So he's trying to grab that power back, and because his military is spread thin. That's what the article is saying. But then that's what the scripture is saying, that all these other nations are seeing that, and that's drawing them to be confederate with each other now.
There you go. Yeah, because they're not just rogue nations, okay? They're not just out there on the island, so to speak, anymore. Because they have a common denominator, man. The so-called white man being their enemy. The so-called white man in particular over here in America. Yeah. You got some more on that?
Yeah, it says, let the weak say I'm strong. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourself together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord.
Right, we're just talking about the angels, because the angels are orchestrating everything. You can read about that in the book of Revelation, about the angels in the river Euphrates. Okay, which is why there's so much. Why is everybody always saying, why is there that phrase, peace in the Middle East? And people have been saying that since the early 90s, man, and it hasn't been peace.
No peace.
Why? Because the angels are there stirring things up, man. The Lord himself is a man of war. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. This is Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. And this is an actual song, okay? Exodus 15:3. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name.
Yep, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name, and that's why there's so much war. That's why there's going to be no peace in the Middle East until Israel is established, the true rightful owners of the whole planet Earth under Yahweh Shai. That's when there's going to be peace on Earth. All right, but before that, there has to become a great destruction, you know. And the Lord, he's rallying things up. The Lord, he likes a great battle, man.
Sure does.
And that's why there's so much conflict. That's why there's so much turmoil within the United States. It's infighting. All right, between all these different factions of the government. All right, factions of people. You got white nationalists. You got preppers. Or you got niggas that are ready for the race wars, man. They're in these underground splinter groups. You know, underground. They show you that the spook at the
Spook sat by the door.
Sat by the door. So you got jakes that are there. You got jakes that are like pretty much what they call them sleeper cells, man.
Yeah, they're in the government. You know, they're in high levels of the military. Hey, but they still got ties to the projects, man.
Yep.
Hey, and you go into these gangs, okay? A lot of them they're so-called radicalized, man. Hey, quiet as kept, man. Jake be having rocket launchers in the damn laundry room,
and they're radicalized because that gang shit was almost pretty much set up to establish a government force within the United States for Jake.
Yeah.
You know, and then Esau he took it over and he corrupted it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but they all pretty much them gangs. They're really splinter groups from black nationalists.
Exactly, that's it.
All of them. They're all just remnants of so-called black nationalist groups like the Peace Stones, Black Panthers, Black Liberation Army. Yeah, no coincidence. They all started out here. Where they're in California. They started in California because that's where the so-called Black Liberation thing started. Man, started right not too far in Oakland, Berkeley. And then you had chapters in LA, and then it spread everywhere else. And that sentiment, even though you got Jakes killing other Jakes, that sentiment is still there, man. That shit is still there. We grew up in around that shit, man, in that type of culture. But that's still there, man. That's why I remember like 92, 93, it was peace. But it came off, it was peace in LA for a year, man. I think in San Diego too. I think it was all throughout Southern California. But that was because what? Jake had enough resources from the LA riots. Jake was cool, Jake was cooperating, and Jake was together, man. That's gonna happen again, man. And then gonna click up with Issachar, man. That's gonna be unheard of, man. So you so-called white people, you're gonna be catching it from all angles. It ain't just on a macro scale, it's micro too, man. Yeah, because a lot of them Issacharites, it's the same thing. A lot of them cliques. They're brown pride. They're brown pride cliques. Okay, but then it got corrupted. Then drugs came in, and so on and so forth. And Esau has done so much shit to further the divide amongst our people, which goes back anciently. All right, Esau capitalizes off of that. But what you see now is we're coming back together. Okay, and all these heathens are coming together to come against you, man. So that's why there ain't no way that you're gonna bounce back, man. You've already hit your peak, you so-called white people, man. You can see it in the average so-called white person. Yeah. The average so-called white man in particular, he's totally through. He's done. He's juiced out. We went to go get a drink. You know, girls are trying to dance with us. They playing hip hop. And when you see Esau, it's like 5, 6, 7 Edomites. They're just sitting there. They don't know what to do. They don't understand their place in the world anymore, man. Yeah. Because you don't have a place. You're going to be chased out of the world, as the scriptures say. And eventually you're going to be exterminated.
I'm in Job 18.
That's the spirit.
Can I get this?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Of course.
Well, let me. I'm gonna finish Joel.
Okay, and then that's the spirit.
This is Joel 3:12. Let the heathen be awakened and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Right, the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh Shaphat, was us right there in the region of Saudi Arabia, right around the Gulf region. Yep. You can read about that also in Joel, the 2nd chapter.
It says, "For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about."
Yeah, and there's no coincidence why all these other nations are being gathered in that region. Because what are they always talking about? They're talking about the conflict in Yemen, which that's right there in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. That's right there, okay? Which they're being bombed to hell and back by Saudi Arabia. And then who's supporting them? Who's supporting Yemen? Iran. Who's supporting Saudi Arabia? America. See? So there's no coincidence, man. And then you got Syria. You got the conflict in Syria, okay? And then Russia's there. U.S. is there. There's no coincidence, man. That's where the Lord is going to judge all of these heathens, man.
That's why peace in the Middle East, like you said earlier.
That's it.
Because the Lord's in there.
Yep, I got something. It's Isaiah 42:13. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war.
Yeah, so the Lord, he's actually stirring up jealousy between all these different nations, all the leaders, as a man of war. Because really, what happened? Why is it war? Because contention, right? Jealousy. Or this person has resources, so I want to take it. Covetousness. America went around and coveted all the other nations' resources. All right, and they ultimately they want to put a chip on them. They want to cover their soul, their spirit. They want to manufacture their spirit.
Like it says, the souls of men.
Yeah.
And what was found in Babylon, the souls of men. Yeah, that's what Esau really wants. He wants your soul. He wants you to hate Yahweh Yahushua and worship his dusty, rusty ass, man. Yeah. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies.
Yeah, he's gonna prevail against his enemies. And who's the main enemy? It's the so-called white man here in America. So much more that even the allies of America gonna turn on America, man. Yep. That's gonna be. Do you understand the concept of that? Do you understand the severity of that? You gotta meditate upon that. Even other Edomite nations that are in league with the so-called white men, NATO and the EU, they're gonna abhor themselves from being with America, man. They're gonna abhor America, and then they're gonna link up with other heathen nations. Man. Yeah. They're gonna link up with other heathen nations. They're gonna link up with the Iranians. They're gonna link up with the Russians. Are they gonna link up with the Chinese? They're gonna link up the North Koreans. Because North Korea, South Korea, they're getting back together.
They're getting back together.
So it's gonna be one Korea. It's gonna be one Korea, and North Korea is gonna be the head honcho, the supreme leader, so to speak, over that region. All right, Japan's gonna come back. They're gonna kick America out of their country. All right, the Philippines is gonna kick America out of their country, and all these other nations, they're gonna come and they're gonna shoot missiles on America. Because why? The Most High, he's stirring up that jealousy between all the nations. Are stirring up jealousy? He put evil thoughts into their minds. Yep. He's saying, "Now we don't need that petrodollar no more. We're going over to cryptocurrencies. We can have our own currency. We can. That's why you have BRICS nations. You have these different Southeast Asian nations linking up, doing trade. You got the Chinese and the land of Ham, Africa. So even Africa's gonna get into that mix, man.
Yeah. Well, they're saying you gotta apologize for what you said. They're saying that the African Union. They're saying that about Trump because calling the nation shitholes. Yeah, shitholes. Yeah. And so what they're doing, and because you have AFRICOM, you have something called AFRICOM, okay, which is a lot of military installments and bases that are based in Africa. So a lot of them is going to start getting busted up, man. All right, the people of that land, they're going to start busting that up, and then they're going to side with what? More with China, which they already have a lot of cooperation with China, Russia, and that's what the dude was saying. He was an analyst about African affairs. He said, well, look, if America doesn't want to respect, we're going to do business with other people.
Yep, exactly.
And that's so Trump is really making it bad for you so-called white people, man.
And who's doing this? It's the Lord. He's turned all this up. He's like, yeah, that's why they're coming. They're telling Trump he's not mentally competent.
He's competent, yeah.
Yeah, but he did the so-called cognitive test. All right, he's 100%, right? But people are saying he's not mentally competent because the shit that he's saying is stirring up. Those are fighting words, man.
Yeah.
If you call out, man, you in the hood. You call your grandma's house, man, that's a shithole. Man, niggas is gonna come out blazing fire on you, man. It's gonna be war in the hood over that statement.
Hell yeah.
So wars have been fought over less.
Yeah.
So how much more the Most High he's stirring up all these nations, man, to that valley of Jehoshaphat.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's where the majority of that war is going to take place. To judge America and to judge all you heathen nations.
Yeah, but you know why Trump's saying that? This is Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
Yep, the king's heart is in the man of the Lord. Daniel's the 4th chapter.
Yeah.
He gave it to whoever he will, even the basis of man.
Yeah.
Was that 22?
I got it right here.
Yeah, the king's heart, meaning his mind, is in the hands of the Lord. So the Lord, he's putting these things in these different leaders' hearts, which is their mind, to say different things, all right, to pretty much go against the deal that they had with America. That's what Obadiah talks about. That those that were in league with you, they gonna the treaties that you made with these other countries and you broke, they're gonna do the same thing to you, man. All right, and it's gonna come to the point to where America's gonna have no allies, man. America's gonna have no allies.
Isaiah 33:1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee.
Yeah, dealt not treacherously with you. All right, because you dealt treacherously by going into their country, set up puppet leaders. And you know, if these nations haven't forgot the things that you have done, all right. This is very recent history. All right, this is not something that happened 400 or 500 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, this is actual recent history within the last 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
Last 100 years, turn of the century.
Yeah.
All right, so Hiroshima and Nagasaki is vividly in these other nations' minds. Are you going into Syria? You saying that there's weapons of mass destruction over there in Iraq? You going under the pretense of going to Afghanistan because Saddam Hussein is there? Yeah. Killing, displacing millions of people.
These people see that. These other nations, they see that. They see the track record of you so-called white people, man. They see how your whole agenda is to divide and conquer, and then gather the resources, and then leave them all assed out and homeless, man. They're not going for that no more.
Yeah, that's why the Lord he's waking. So nations that weren't in league with each other once before, now they're going to be in league with each other. Yeah. All right, to wipe out America. That's the mind. That's what the Lord has put in these nations' minds.
Pretty much, it's a green light on America. Okay, in the streets, the green light is all right. I might be funky. Okay, I'm from bounty hunters. This brother's from Peru, whatever. We might have some conflict, but you see a Crip nigga, and you like, oh, let's get this nigga.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly.
And that's it. And that's what
frenemies.
Yeah, frenemies. Exactly. And that's exactly what's happening right now. That's exactly what's happening because you have these nations that have had conflict. You know, tribal conflict, different clans. They're saying, you know, even they're different. They could even be different nations. But they're like, man, you know what? We'll handle our shit later. Let's get this dude.
Let's get this dude. Yes.
You know, that's exactly what's happening. That's why you got like Hamites and Ishmaelites linking up. Yeah. And they're enemies, man. You know, them Hamites used to give it to Ishmael, and then Ishmael had hand in slavery and shit like that, ruling over them, making them Muslim. But hey, the so-called white man is a bigger threat.
Yeah, it's nothing in comparison to what the so-called white man did. Because what he did, he fed off that hatred that they had for each other, and then he played both parts. He funded both parts. Yep. And he perpetuated that, and he doesn't let them get together.
Yeah, he show you that in that movie, The International. Okay,
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, about how these international bankers they fund both sides, man, and they say whoever wins the battle, we still win. Why? Because they get the interest from that loan. All right, with all the weapons that they supply to them. You so-called white people, you're the devil, okay? Yep. And they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
Yeah, so now you okay, look, let's make deals. Let's call it truce.
Yeah. Now you want peace. You didn't robbed every goddamn body. That's why the so-called white man's talking all this peace now, because he ain't got nothing else to steal. He didn't got everything, man. Now he just straight wants your soul. He done took all your resources. He done made everybody. Like, what else do you want, man? Everybody's a slave. Everybody works for your ass. Even us, you know, this brother works with me. You know, we don't work for the so-called white man yet. We still got to pay taxes. We still got to drive his cars to, you know, to go and get to these bugged out clients, you know. We still have to work to live. We can't just be out here, I want to live off the land. You'll get arrested for that, man.
Yeah, you get arrested.
So the so-called white man, he didn't got everything. So now he's like, he don't need to directly oppress you no more. You don't need to go into a lunch counter and pour a damn smoothie or milkshake on your head until your nigga get out. Okay, he don't need to do that. Why? Because he didn't conquer everything.
And now that these nations they're angry and they're ready to shoot missiles and destroy America.
Now he's hey, school. Hey, come on, man. Yeah. I gave you jobs. Yeah, he didn't get pretty much what he's done. He's given these nations higher slave positions, and he thinks that's just going to pacify him.
I revamped your country by giving you technology. Okay, you have better infrastructure.
After he bombed it to hell and back, though. Yeah. He ain't gonna bring that part up.
That's right. Yeah.
And he bombed it to hell and back. Okay, they still got kids. They walk around and they get blown up by a mine. But he's not gonna talk about that. He's gonna talk about all the development that he brought to the country. Okay,
the development. Yeah, that's
which he made money off of through Halliburton.
And it's still destroying them right now.
Yeah,
because all the development you gave them cell phones. Cell phones give you cancer.
Sure do.
Okay, you gave them the ability to produce mass amount of food. Okay, and you gave them GMO crops. Was that destroys you, and that's coming out that gives you cancer. That gives you cognitive function, or that increases your lifespan. Okay, you gave these high-rise buildings. You gave them the way to live as an Edomite, and that's destruction. So that's why these other nations, they're mad. Like, damn, we was better off in fucking tents and huts. We was better off just living normal. All right, being happy. We have our own women. Our women are not bugging out. Okay, our men are not mass homosexuals. All right, you gave us this funny fiat money system. All right, now we trade in stocks and trades. Okay, the economy's all running to shits. All right, then you came in and you took all our natural resources, under the pretext of that you gave us a better way of life. Or we were savages, because that's what Esau did when he started conquering all these dark nations. And it's the same Edomite that they did that in Rome. In Rome, and what did they call the other nation? They call them barbarians. And what's another word for barbarian? It's savage.
Savage.
Okay, so that's what they call these other third world countries, which are now developing superpowers now. Okay, because China was a third world country. They're a developing superpower. They're number 3. They're really coming up as number 2, but Russia is a more military power. Okay, so all these North Korea, South Korea, they're gonna get together. Japan, they already have all the technology. The technology that you gave them to so-called revamp the economy or build them up. All right, that same technology is gonna be the technology to destroy your ass. All right, that thermonuclear technology. All right, and the Most High is gathering all these nations together. Okay.
Yeah. And old English, man, I gave you a shot. You know, I dealt with you, but
I've seen that.
You ain't right in spirit, my man. So you got to go. You are now removed. Okay. You are now removed. Okay. Yeah, dude's a demon.
Yeah,
remember that's when he called me a buster?
Yeah.
Hey, because people say a lot to me. Have said a lot to me over these years. I try to read through the spirit. I don't even you become numb to it after a while. I just deal in the spirit and try to work with the guy, but he ain't right, man. The dude he ain't right.
I got it.
Let me finish this off.
Okay,
right?
it's like.
You gotta put him in timeout, man.
Yeah, all this shit that Esau's doing. And you little Edomites.
Yeah, we were brothers. But he bugged out because he looked like an Edomite. That's why.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But you a Jake anyways. You'll come back. You still a Jake. You're just a bug out. All right. Isaiah 33:1. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee.
Yeah, they shall deal treacherously with thee. These other nations. When you go around and you try to establish your newer order, and you go around like, look, we're gonna call a truce. Let's do a nuclear disarmament while you still got nuclear missiles. Because you're gonna do it under the pretext of world peace. Mm-hmm. When it's really you just want to conquer everybody.
Yeah.
Or you want to do backdoor deals. So what's gonna happen is while you do that, the other nations are gonna do backdoor deals against you. Okay? And then that's when you're gonna be destroyed. All right, the so-called Rothschilds, the elite banking families, that run these different governments, they're going to turn upon you because now they're scared of you. But look what's happened with North Korea, this small speck on the planet, and your ass ain't going into North Korea, right? Because there's too much collateral damage. All right, number one, you got troops in South Korea. That's nuclear fallout, man. Then you're gonna be hurting the economy with China. China ain't gonna allow your ass to do that.
Yeah, let me get this real quick. Psalm 28:3. Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts.
Yeah, they speak peace to their neighbors, and the neighbors is talking about these other nations. All right, they even did that. They did it to us, to where they totally destroyed us as a nation. They spoke peaceful words, and Esau's doing that now. He's going around these different developing countries. All right, he'll send in his bankers. All right, he'll send in these investors to build up.
Yeah, Confessions of an Economic Hitman breaks it down.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like a 4-pronged attack. It's like it's a process that Esau goes through, man. In the last part of it, if they don't bite on anything else, if you don't want to step down, if you don't want to get bribed, if the coup don't work, the assassination don't work, they just bring in the military, man. Just like you had a man called Smedley Butler. He broke it down about how he was nothing but a hitman for the international bankers. That's what he said. And he was the highest ranking military official at the time. And they wanted him to be installed as a puppet and overthrow FDR. This was back in the 1930s, and he exposed it, man. He exposed that conspiracy. That's how the so-called white man gets down, man. His thing is get down, lay down. But guess who also operates like that? The one you know as God and Jesus Christ, man. Yahweh Yahushua. You ain't getting down with this program. All right, you've ruled his kingdom in error. Now he's going to put you to death, man. He's going to set us up in your stead, okay? And we're going to rule in righteousness underneath Yahushua, King David, in the proper order.
This is Habakkuk 2:15.
Yeah.
Woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him and maketh him drunk also.
Yeah, and what's that drink talking about? It's talking about that doctrine, that false doctrine. The wine of the wrath of fornication, as it speaks about in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, in the book of Revelation, the 14th chapter. Now, this also applies to literal drink, because look at them Gadites. Okay, and so-called American Indians, you like to mock about Gad being a drunk, but who gave Gad the alcohol in the first place? Okay?
Yeah.
But really it's talking about doctrines. Excuse me. False doctrines. But go ahead.
It says that thou mayest look on their nakedness.
That thou mayest look on their nakedness. Yeah. So then when these other nations are exposed, now you do that the most with us, man. Look at these niggas in the ghetto killing each other. Esau actually will go in a van and drop off a gang of guns, man. He'll just leave.
Yeah.
And that happens. That happens all the time in Oakland. Why? Because he knows that our people are gonna kill each other, man. Okay, over turf, man. All right, because it ain't just because the block now. It's because that block you can make money on that block selling dope. And so then you got guns. Then the warfare intensifies, man. And Esau knows that, man. Okay, you like to talk about niggas being on welfare. Well, you destroyed our infrastructure, and then you set up welfare really for so-called white people. But then you encourage the woman you got in our woman's ear to kick the man out the house, so then they can get on welfare. Now you got generations of generations who've grown up on welfare. You got some jakes out here 2 or 3 generations. Their granddad was on welfare. Their grandma, was on welfare. Their mom was on welfare. Now they on welfare, man. But you so-called white people, you set that up, man. All right, because Jake, the stereotype is lazy nigga. The niggas ain't lazy. Niggas just don't want to be slaves, man. See, that's why he said Esau's lazy. Yeah, well, but Esau wasn't lazy. This niggas is working sun up from sundown, and this piece of shit he got a bed winch in the back, and he got his legs kicked up sipping lemonade, man, with a fucking hat on, man. But we're lazy. So that's why, man, we get you so-called white people in slavery, man, we're gonna beat the brakes off you, man. You're gonna be totally destroyed, man. Jake built this country, man. You look at these Jakes in the NBA, they be practicing 4 or 5 hours a day. Okay, then they gotta take pictures with you fucking ugly ass Edomites. Oh, Tammy wants a picture. Them niggas ain't lazy, man. They waking up 6 in the morning before school. Okay, shooting, getting 300 jumpers up, man. That ain't lazy.
That's work. They work.
Even niggas in the street, man. Them niggas ain't lazy. Smacker. First and the 15th, them niggas is up 5:30 in the morning, man. Jake ain't lazy. Jake's tired of being slaves. That's why you got Issachar over here. But now Issachar tired of being a slave, man. See, because Issachar come over and they all like, oh man, yeah, they just thankful that they get that $4 an hour. But now because they think that they're gonna get their business. It's just a means to an end.
Yeah.
But then they get into that American system and they find out, man, I'm better off going to Mexico.
And then they see that they're propping this place up.
Yeah.
And they're doing all of the work.
Yep.
And your ass is sending their ass back to Mexico, man.
Still.
To these different, and they can be here 30 years outstanding citizens.
Yeah, outstanding. You don't get any of the benefits for paying taxes, but you're still paying the taxes.
Yeah.
You don't even get a refund check back. You know.
You wave every time, and smile at every white woman.
Yeah.
You know?
Open the doors.
And open the doors.
Esau still beat your ass, man.
And down in San Diego, they got ICE checkpoints, man. They have actually ICE checkpoints for you Issacharites, man. They deporting your ass, man. So how about that? So yeah, even Issachar is which that means he is hired. He is hired. So he always gonna have a job. But he's
tired of working, man.
He's tired of working because he's working for pennies. The dollar devaluing. He got to shackle with 30 other Mexicans in one house, or just to pay rent. And then at any given moment, he has in his mind he has anxiety because you come and just raid his ass, man.
Yep. And I'm sorry, like the brother Awar said, Awarba. I don't want to miss the brother in the Awarba. Salaki. He said we work the hard labor jobs while these heathens just taskmaster over you. That's exactly what happens. That's the breakdown. That's exactly what happens, particularly here in California. Okay. Yeah, you go to a warehouse, man. The so-called blacks and Mexicans, maybe 2 Samoans, or a retarded Filipino here and there.
Yeah, yep.
All right.
Yep. And Jake working day in and day out, short their check. Like you paying, they got 1 week in the hole, and you give them just enough to keep their ass coming back.
They call it a subsistence wage, and some British guy came up with that. It was pretty much it keep you going just to pay all your bills, but they also keep you in a state of worker instability, so that you know that you got to keep going. Pretty much keep you as a continual slave, man. That's what it's about. And that's why all these other nations are like, no, man, I'm not going for this. I already see what's going to come of this. Because they see what's happening in China. Oh, yeah, they have an emerging economy. But those people are catching hell, man. Anxiety's increased. Depression has increased. Why? Because suicide's increased. Why? Because the ways of the so-called white man has penetrated their country, man. which the ways of the so-called white man lead to death. Nothing but, man.
And those Chinese are oppressing their people for what? To do what? To give you damn Americans, man. It's to fund America them goods.
Yeah.
So really it all goes back to fucking America.
Yeah, and a lot of those companies are actually multinational corporations based here in America. Yeah, and they'll set up some fucking Uncle Tom Chinese guy as the chairman. Because a lot of these, I'm sorry, brother, because a lot of these companies, they have a lot of these countries, they have rules that a company can't charter there unless like half of the board members are of that country.
They have to be sponsored by that country.
Yeah, like Thailand has that. I believe like 51% of the board, they have to be Thai people. Okay, so I believe they have the same concept in China. So they'll throw in bags, okay, and they'll be the face of it. But really, who's really behind it? The so-called
it's hell. When you go into them documentaries of them China, and I watch them documentaries them China child workers and them camps. There's an Edomite behind it, man. It's a so-called Jew behind the whole thing. The whole operation is a so-called fucking Jew behind all that, man.
Yep.
So them Chinese are getting money. They allow certain Chinese to become rich.
Yep.
But it's really the so-called Jew, the so-called white man that's behind all these big corporations.
Yep.
All right, because it's nothing but buying and trading. They set up tariffs. They set up different trade agreements. All right. So really, the ones who are oppressing you. All right, is these so-called Jews, man.
Yeah,
it all goes back to them.
Yeah, but you'll put up somebody else as the face of it, but it really goes back to the so-called Jew. Let's go ahead and finish the article and then wrap up.
Okay, good. It says So I'm gonna read that part of the article again. The strategy paints a grim picture of the world in which the U.S. military is emerging from a period of strategic atrophy, with its competitive military advantage over other actors eroding. Meanwhile, the American homeland is described as no longer a sanctuary from terrorists, cyber attacks, or political and information subversion.
Yeah, which Esau setting that up. Yeah. Esau setting up the domestic terrorist attacks to further put hell on you people here, because he has to make sure that you're docile, so then he can go and do what he got to do in the other countries, man. Okay, because you can't go invade another country if you have a civil war at home.
Yeah.
All right, and he knows that people are getting vexed. So now, what can he do to keep the distraction off of the hell that you're catching your day to day? Well, look, there's an external force. Oh, now there's some people that leaked over here.
Yeah.
All right, that's what they did in the 50s. You had something called McCarthyism. Okay, where you had neighbors that would be spying on each other because they were trying to be patriotic, thinking that the person next to them was a communist. Okay, they call it the Red Scare. That's going into the history. Go ahead. Which is the same thing. Terrorism is the new communism. Okay, in terms of scaring you dumbass American citizens. Go ahead.
It says for decades the United States has enjoyed uncontested and dominant superiority.
Uncontested. It said decades going back to what? The fall of the Soviet Union. Go ahead.
So superiority in every operating domain.
Yeah, everywhere. Okay.
We could generally deploy our forces when we want it, assemble them where we want it, and operate how we want it. Today, every domain is contested, the document says.
Hey, get Isaiah 14. That's beautiful. Yeah, get Isaiah 14. Just go right to the point. They that look upon me. Actually, read the 12th verse and then jump to how art thou fallen and then jump to the point. So this is all biblical prophecy. You can't get around this. In OE, my man, Old English, it ain't looking good for you, man. You better repent, my man.
Yeah, you want me to go to they that nearly look upon thee first?
Nah, go to how thou fallen from heaven, and then jump to 16.
Yep. It says, this is Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weakest the nations? Yeah, which didst
weaken the nations. Okay, and how did you weaken the nations? Through your military, primarily. Also the IMF loans, so on and so forth. Go ahead.
They that the verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
Right, narrowly look up. When you narrowly look upon somebody, that means you're scrutinizing them. Okay, and that's what these nations are doing. Go ahead.
And consider thee, saying, "Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?"
Man, is this the man? This guy? Because the script, not the scripture, the document said, the article said that now these nations they're when America comes over there, they're getting met with resistance. Why? Because that fear that these other nations have towards the so-called white man is dissipating.
Mm-hmm.
So and now they're scrutinizing. They're looking at him like, man, we were scared of this dude.
Exactly.
Is this the man? Go ahead.
It says, saying, is this the man that made the earth tremble, that did shake nations, that made the world as wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof?
Yeah, and that's why they're coming up against you, because they don't want their nation destroyed, man. And that's what you're gonna do when you go in there. Oh, that was good. That was good.
Yep. I'll just finish the verse.
Okay.
And open not the house of the prisoners.
Right, and that's right there. You shows you that it's talking about America, because America has the biggest prison population by far. All right, let's just finish the article and then we'll get some more precepts in. Yeah, brothers, don't respond to these these guys on here, these bug outs. Just let them be bug outs. I'll block them soon enough. Okay.
Continuing the article, the 11-page declassified summary is obviously short on details of how U.S. seeks to retain dominance over the world in face of these challenges, but reveals both continually in the U.S. strategic thinking and the recognition that some deep-cutting changes are required at the Pentagon, and which a lot of deep changing, a lot to do with that is the chip, the mark of the beast. That's how they're going to try to regain control over these nations, right? Because they're going to be able to block out. They're going to control the finance, the economy,
right?
So that's part of what they have to do, Revisionist powers and world dominance. The NDS continues the practice of the past two presidential administrations in describing China and Russia as revisionist powers, threatening the free and open international order. Yeah,
so now they're the problem. Okay, it's not your ass bombing everybody that held them back. Okay, it's Russia and China. Right? Why? Because Esau is always trying to divert the attention from his ass. Because what's happening now, these other nations, they're narrowly looking upon you and considering you. So now you're like, no, look, they're the bad guy. No, but it's not working no more, man. Yeah. Everybody's like, no, it's you, man. We know it. It's you.
Yeah, it's you. Yep. It's clear as day.
Go ahead.
Created by the U.S. and its allies after World War II.
Go ahead.
To better safeguard their liberty and people from aggression and coercion. Mm-hmm. China and Russia are accused of undermining that international order from within.
Yeah, why? Because all these nations, they're seeking unto Russia and China as a sanctuary against the so-called white man. So that's what it really means. Russia and China is preventing the so-called white man from invading everywhere and bombing it to hell and back. Okay, why? Because they're there on the side of the nation, and or they've given that nation nuclear capability. Okay, go ahead.
By exploiting its benefits while simultaneously undercutting its principles and rules of the road.
Go ahead.
Beijing is accused of seeking Indo-Pacific regional hegemony.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. That's why they got relationships with the Philippines, with in the Koreas, mainly North Korea, because South Korea has traditionally been an ally of America, but now they're gaining some steam over there too.
In the near term and displacement of the United States to achieve global preeminence in the future, while Moscow seeks veto authority over nations and is perpetually opposes NATO and wants to exchange European and Middle East security and economic structures to its favor.
Yeah, without you so-called white people, because they don't need you, man. And that's why they're trying to cut out the dollar. Because the dollar, when the dollar is still being used as an exchange, the so-called white man over here in America is still there, even if he's not there presently. That's why you got the petro yuan, all right, which a lot of these nations, they're all on board with using it, man. Okay?
Yeah, they want to cut out America basically out of the deals.
Yep.
And they see once you have America, the Filipino president even said it. He said when you do deals with America, you say you do arms deals, they want a lot from you. All right, they want to come into your country. All right, they want to destroy you. You got to give them free reign just for help. Mm-hmm. You got a cousin Like can I borrow some money? But like, hey, look, hey, if I let you borrow this money, you gotta let me have this. You gotta let me come in your house. You gotta sleep over. Do some crazy.
All types of conditions.
Yeah. And then you might ask your pops for some money. It's like, all right, here, just get
that's
fair exchange. It's cool. It's good. Whatever you got, So that's how they're dealing with America.
Yeah, who they gonna deal with, man?
Exactly.
Yeah, they about to deal with America.
Because he said if you ask Russia for arms, you just pay them the money, they give you the arms. Or you ask China for arms, you just pay them the money and give you the arms.
Esau need a base, man.
Esau needs a base. He needs
I need a base. I need a base. I need an embassy, or I need immunity for everybody that comes into the country. Edomites get drunk, go rape some woman, kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we need immunity. That's why Japan's kicking your ass out. That's why Japan over there in Okinawa. That's why, and that's supposed to be an American ally. The Asia pivot. Man, they want you out of there in Okinawa. You white boys get drunk in the military, go on being a damn the monkey that you are, okay? And they pissed off. Go ahead, brother. Finish it off.
Yep. It says, China and Russia. Okay, Beijing is accused of seeking Indo-Pacific hegemony in near-term and displacement of United States to achieve global preeminence in the future, while Moscow seeks veto authority over nations and perpetual opposes NATO and wants to change European and Middle East securities and economic structures.
Yeah, because NATO was set up really to go against Russia. Okay, so of course they're gonna oppose it when you go into it.
The strategy envisions maintaining favorable regional balances of power in the Indo-Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East and the Western Hemisphere, as well as in Africa, effectively over the entire planet. Esau wants control over the entire planet, and these other nations, pretty much Russia and China, are raining down on Esau's parade and messing up the plan.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, even other Edomites, man. That's why.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why even the European nations they was cursing out you so-called white people over here, mainly Trump, for the comments that he made, the shithole comments. They're like, man, you can't be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
I'll just finish this paragraph.
Yeah.
It says, effectively over the entire planet, the strategy bluntly warns of a world in which the U.S. is no longer the hegemonic power.
Woo! Read that one more time, brother.
It says, the strategy bluntly warns of a world in which the U.S. is no longer the hegemonic power.
That's it.
Leading to eroding cohesion among allies and partners.
In right there. Get Obadiah and then get Revelation.
Oh, Revelation 17?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we get Revelation 17.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah,
that's it. All right, you're gonna get that, you're gonna read that again, and then we're gonna end off. If you want to finish off the article, it's all right. But I think
it's about the end of that paragraph.
That's it. That's it, man. That's it.
Come
on, man. You can't come on, man. But the scriptures are a fairy tale, right? Now, y'all believe it in a white man book. But America's not Babylon. Babylon is Vatican.
It's plain as day.
It's plain as day, man. It's just right up. Pretty much, you could just reading that article is reading Revelation 17, man. Go ahead, brother. Finish that off. And before you do that, read that one more time, man.
Okay, come on.
And then we're going to get Revelation 17, then we're going to wrap up. Say, hey, Barak Yahweh Shah shot for that, man. All right, these prophecies are being made plain, man.
The strategy bluntly warns of a world in which the U.S. is no longer the hegemonic power.
Right, they're no longer the whore that sits upon many waters, okay, that corrupts all these other nations with their doctrine. Go ahead.
Leading to eroding cohesion.
Leading to eroding cohesion, meaning cooperation. They're not as together. Go ahead.
Among allies.
Among allies, okay, which is who? Who are the main allies? Starting with Britain, and other European countries. Go ahead.
EU.
Yep, everybody in the EU, NATO, Canada. Go ahead.
Among allies and partners, and reduces access to markets that will contribute to a decline in our prosperity and standard of living.
So I mean, what? America's gonna catch more help. Yeah, because you can't get access to markets, meaning you can't push off your BS onto their country, man. Which is gonna do what? That's gonna reduce your GDP.
And it's going to make America like unto a third world country.
There you go.
So America doesn't want that. That's why they're going to try to fight tooth and
nail. Yeah, to invade. Because when they invade a country, they said, "What? We're open up the market." meaning you push your BS over there. You push GMOs. Okay, that's really what you push. You just push death over there, man. That's
GMOs, media.
Yeah, the
television.
media. Yep. They destroy the country, and then they bring in Halliburton. So that's how they make their money, man, through the military-industrial complex. Okay, spreading their wine. So if they don't invade no other countries, that's America can't really exist.
Yeah,
America's nothing but a parasite, man. Which all you so-called white people, you're parasites. In America, you're just the epitome of that, man.
And that's why Rome was declining, because they didn't have that grasp on these other nations that they had once in under tribute.
Yeah,
why? So they can get money.
Yeah.
So really taking all these other nations, setting up a centralized bank, getting Halliburton in there, buying weapons, getting everybody on cell phones and technology. Yep. That's really getting them under tribute, so that money can come back and come full circle to America.
Yep.
And once you're not able to do that, the standard of living in America is going to rapidly decline, right? You're going to have the scripture is going to say all the nations, they're going to go to their own people. This place is the real shithole, man. This is a real third world country, all right? This is Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore.
Yeah, the 10 horns is talking about who? The EU, and the beast is talking about NATO. All right, go ahead.
And shall make her desolate and naked.
Yeah, exposed, man. Desolate, because this place is going to be destroyed, man. Everybody has nuclear missiles. They're going to shoot them over here. Go ahead.
And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
And where's that fire coming from? The nuclear missiles. Them bombs, man. Yeah. So with that, we're going to wrap up. It's beautiful, man. This is a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to be serving Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Okay? This is when we're coming into the time where our faith is going to flourish. It's going to pay off, man. All the righteous works that we've done, which you've done in faith, the Heavenly Father, He's honoring it, man. And we're not so crazy anymore. Okay? Now we're looking like the rational, in the spirit men that we are, man. All right, so we're gonna close up. Call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and hopefully you brothers were edified, and shalom to the left, and death to America.
Death to America.
All right.
Shalom. Death to the nigga woman.